Snow swallowed her voice before the pain could. Madison Cole, black, 26, 8 weeks along, bled into the Montana night beside a wrecked car and a life that had just abandoned her. Headlights cut the white. Doors slammed. "Boss, someone's in the snow." Strong hands checked her pulse. Careful, fast. "Hospital?" she whispered. A low voice, absolute. "Too exposed. You're coming with me." She didn't know he ran the things men fear. Snow carved through the highway like shards of glass, swirling around broken guardrails and a single black sedan nose down in a ditch. Inside, Madison Cole struggled to breathe. Her hands pressed against the gash along her hairline. Warm blood slicked her palm before the wind froze it there. Her phone blinked uselessly. No signal, no lifeline. Headlights appeared behind her, distant, approaching slow. She stumbled from the wreck, one arm wrapped around her ribs, the other dragging a torn duffel. Each step sank deeper into white. The world had gone silent except for the storm and her heartbeat. Then came another sound. Engines, not one but several, low and synchronized. 3 black SUVs cut through the drift, tires hissing on ice. Their beams swallowed her, blinding. "Boss, someone's out there," a voice shouted through the gale. Doors opened in sequence. Men in long coats stepped out, shadows against halogen light. The tallest moved forward first. Even through the storm, she could feel authority in his stillness. "Get her," he said. The tone left no question who commanded. Madison tried to wave them off. "I'm fine," she gasped, but her knees buckled. 2 of them caught her before she hit the ground. The one who'd spoken knelt. His gloved hand brushed the side of her face, assessing, not gentle yet careful. She blinked through sleet to see his eyes. Gray, unreadable. "Temperature's dropping fast," one guard warned. "She won't make the drive." The man's jaw flexed. "No hospitals." He looked back at her. "Can you hear me?" Madison nodded weakly. "Please, don't—" "Save it," he murmured, lifting her himself. "You're coming with us." She woke to warmth. Dim lights hummed overhead, the smell of antiseptic threading with wood smoke. A woman's accent floated near her ear. "She's stable. Few stitches, mild hypothermia." Madison blinked at ornate plaster ceilings, crimson drapes, and the steady pulse of a fireplace. A mansion, not a clinic. The older woman by the bed smiled faintly. "You're safe now. I'm Lucia." "Where am I?" "Villa Mancini. My brother brought you here from the storm." Her brother. The image flashed back. The eyes, the voice, the command. The Mafia stories whispered through the city had a name attached to them. Adrian Mancini. Lucia poured water, handed it over. "You're lucky he was on the road tonight." Lucky wasn't the word Madison would have chosen. Downstairs, Adrian stood by. The window, jacket unbuttoned, snow melting off his shoulders. Franco, his lieutenant, spoke quietly. "We should have left her. Random accident complicates things." Adrian didn't turn. "She was left to die. We don't leave people to die." Franco frowned. "Compassion looks like weakness." "So does fear," Adrian said, and finally faced him. "Run a background check. Full." From the hallway vent above, Madison caught fragments. Weakness, background, accident. She clutched the blanket tighter. Outside, floodlights cut across the courtyard like search beams. Whatever house she'd entered, mercy wasn't its business. She slid from the bed, bare feet against cold marble, moving toward the door. A faint red glow blinked from the corner camera. Watching, recording. Below, Adrian looked up from his file just in time to see her silhouette in the doorway. Their eyes met through the staircase shadows. "Going somewhere?" His voice was calm, almost polite. She froze. "Eat first," he said, "then decide if you still want to run." The storm howled against the windows, but inside, everything had gone utterly still. The mansion breathed quietly after the storm. Madison woke to muted light and the smell of cedar. Her stitched temple pulsed in rhythm with the ticking clock on the wall. Someone had changed her bandage, left water and folded clothes at the edge of the bed. Gray sweater, wool pants, nothing fancy but warm. She sat up. The window stretched from floor to ceiling. Beyond it, a valley draped in white. The storm had passed, but the world looked carved from silence. A gentle knock. Lucia entered carrying a tray. "You should eat." "I need to leave," Madison said. Lucia set the tray down. "You will, when the roads reopen." "When your brother says so, you mean?" Lucia hesitated, her smile thin. "Adrian doesn't keep people. He protects them, until it's safe." Downstairs, marble corridors gleamed like water. Madison followed the faint hum of voices until she reached the dining room. Adrian sat at the head of a long table, suit crisp, expression unreadable. Franco stood by the door, arms folded. She paused at the threshold. "You said I could decide after breakfast." Adrian gestured toward the seat across from him. "Eat first, then we'll talk." She stayed standing. "Who are you really?" "Someone who found you half dead in the snow." "That's not an answer." He looked at her fully then, the gray of his eyes sharper than any threat. "No, it isn't." Franco poured coffee without being told. Steam curled between them. Through the tall windows she saw men in heavy coats moving along the fence line, guards, not gardeners. The driveway beyond the gate glittered with black ice and more armed silhouettes. Every exit watched. Adrian followed her gaze. "You think I brought you here to harm you?" "I think you don't do anything without reason." He didn't deny it. "You were on a road no one uses. Someone forced you off it. That wasn't weather." Her stomach tightened. "You think this was planned?" "I know it was." He slid a tablet across the table, on its screen, an image of her car, time-stamped 10 minutes before the crash. Headlights from a trailing vehicle. "Who sent you this?" she asked. "I have eyes on those roads. The same men who wanted you dead tried to follow you into my territory." Madison's pulse quickened. "Why me?" "That," Adrian said quietly, "is what I intend to find out." Lucia entered again, breaking the tension. The police called. They found no other vehicles near the wreck. Adrian's expression didn't change. Of course they didn't. He turned back to Madison. "Until I know who tried to kill you, you stay here. Non-negotiable." Madison shook her head. "You can't decide my life." "I already did when I pulled you out of the snow," he said, voice low. "Now I'm just trying to keep you breathing." The clock struck once, sharp, echoing. Outside, a flock of crows burst from the trees like shrapnel against the pale sky. Lucia's phone buzzed on the counter. She glanced at the screen, eyes narrowing. "Brother," she whispered. "Someone breached the south cameras." Adrian rose, calm and lethal. "Get her to the safe room." Madison's protest died in her throat as Franco's hand closed gently around her arm. The house that had felt like shelter suddenly felt like a trap with secrets built into every wall. Franco's grip wasn't cruel, just unarguable. "Move," he said, steering Madison down a side corridor where the lights flickered once, then went black. Somewhere behind them, the heavy front doors boomed shut. Lucia walked ahead, phone flashlight cutting through the dark. They breached the south fence, sensors tripped in 2 quadrants. "Who are they?" Madison demanded, pulse hammering. "People who don't knock," Franco muttered. A metallic click echoed and a panel in the wall slid open. Inside lay a narrow staircase spiraling downward. Lucia gestured. "Safe room. Go." Madison hesitated. "I'm not hiding in a basement." "Do you want to die in the hallway?" Franco snapped. That silenced her. She descended. The stairwell opened into a room lined with screens and steel shelves. A generator hummed somewhere beyond the wall. A row of small monitors showed camera feeds. White blur of snow, silhouettes moving at the perimeter, the glint of muzzle flashes. Lucia locked the door behind them, entered a code. The thick hiss of airtight seals settled over the room. "Sit," she said, pulling a blanket from a crate. Madison paced instead. "You people live like a war could start any minute." Lucia gave a thin smile. "In this family, it already did." One of the monitors crackled. Adrian's voice came through, steady amid the static. "Status." "Safe room sealed," Lucia answered. "We count 4 vehicles outside the south gate." "Copy," Adrian said. "No engagement until I confirm." Madison stared at the screen showing him. Shadowed face, earpiece glinting. Even through grainy footage, command radiated from him. "Why are they after you?" she asked quietly. Lucia's eyes stayed on the monitor. "Because my brother drew a line. The people out there want him to erase it." "What line?" "No drugs, no children, no slaves." Madison's chest tightened. "That's supposed to be the bare minimum of decency." Lucia met her gaze. "In our world, it's rebellion." Gunfire rattled faintly through the feed. Short bursts, disciplined replies. Adrian didn't flinch. He spoke into his radio. "Push them back to the ridge, no casualties." Then he glanced toward the camera, toward her, and said, "Stay inside. Whatever happens, don't open that door." Madison felt the absurd urge to answer, even though he couldn't hear her. Minutes stretched thin. The monitors flickered again, then steadied. The gunfire stopped. Lucia exhaled. "He's finished it." Madison sat down at last, the adrenaline ebbing, leaving only tremors in her hands. "You people fight wars like it's weather," Lucia folded her arms. "And you walked straight into the storm." Madison looked up sharply. "I didn't choose that." "No one does," Lucia said softly. "But you survive, or you freeze." The door mechanism clanked. Franco appeared in the threshold, snow still clinging to his coat. "It's over," he said. 3 intruders dead, 1 fled." Madison rose, voice low. "This is your version of safe?" Franco's look held a trace of respect. "You're still breathing, aren't you?" He turned to Lucia. "Boss wants her upstairs." Lucia nodded, then to Madison. "He'll explain. Just listen before you judge." As they climbed back toward the light, Madison glanced at the flickering camera feed one last time. Adrian stood outside, smoke curling from the barrel of his pistol, snow swirling around him like ghosts. She whispered under her breath, "What kind of man saves people in a war he created?" The question followed her up the stairs. Quiet, dangerous, unanswered. The snow had stopped, but the world still looked bruised. Madison stood near the tall windows of the library, wrapped in a borrowed sweater, watching Adrian and Franco speak in low tones by the fire. The glow painted their faces in gold and shadow. War stories told without words. Adrian's gaze flicked toward her just once. "You're shaking," he said. "I'm thinking," she answered. Lucia entered carrying a silver tray, breaking the silence. "Doctor says you can remove the bandage tomorrow." Madison nodded. "Then I'll leave tomorrow." Adrian's eyes lifted from the report spread across the table. "Leave where? Whoever sent those men doesn't vanish with daylight." "I can't stay. In a place where people die outside the door," she said. He closed the folder slowly. "You think the world outside is cleaner?" The question lingered, heavy as the smoke curling toward the ceiling. Later, in the hallway, Lucia caught up to her. "He's not trying to cage you, Madison. He's trying to understand why someone wanted you dead." "Maybe the answer's simple," Madison said. "Wrong color, wrong place, wrong time." Lucia studied her a moment, sympathy cutting through the poise. Or maybe right person, wrong secret. Before Madison could respond, Franco approached carrying a tablet. Found something. The car that forced her off the road, stolen from a Viscari garage 2 nights before the crash. Lucia's expression hardened. Then they were sending a message. Madison frowned. Who are the Viscari? Adrian appeared behind them, voice even. The family that sells what we refuse to touch. That evening the mansion shifted into quiet efficiency. Guards checking lines, mechanics tending vehicles, the hum of a fortress rebuilding itself. Madison wandered into the conservatory, glass roof veiled with frost. Adrian was there, pruning a plant that looked too delicate to survive the cold. You run an empire, she said, and you garden? It reminds me that things grow when you stop destroying them. She crossed her arms. You mean when you let other people destroy them for you. His hands paused. You think I'm the villain? I think you're comfortable with blood on your hands as long as it dries behind closed doors. He looked up then, and for the first time the mask slipped. You saw my mother's grave in the south courtyard. Madison hesitated. Lucia mentioned her. She built schools in the neighborhoods our world ignored, the same world that shot her for trying to clean it. The silence between them turned soft, uneasy. Madison finally said, and you became what killed her. Adrian's jaw tightened. I became what could stop them. Lucia entered, phone in hand, urgency cutting through the air. Adrian, it's the docks. Viscari shipment flagged by customs. Adrian's voice steadied. Intercept quietly. No headlines. Franco nodded and disappeared. Adrian turned back to Madison. You still think you don't belong in this? I think you mistake survival for purpose. He gave a half smile that didn't reach his eyes. Maybe you'll teach me the difference. Outside, the last drift of snow slid from the glass roof with a dull thud, the sound of weight giving way. Lucia's voice echoed from the hall. Franco says they found something in that shipment. You need to see this. Adrian gestured toward the corridor. Come with me. You should see what kind of world tried to kill you. Madison followed, heartbeat loud in her ears. Not fear this time, but the start of a choice she didn't know she'd already made. The shipment warehouse reeked of salt and diesel. Floodlights painted the docks in sickly yellow as the customs agents faded into shadows. Adrian stood at the container's open mouth, sleeves rolled, eyes dark. Inside lay crates that didn't match the manifest, cheap electronics on top, heavier steel cases hidden below. Franco pried one open. Plastic bricks. Not cocaine. Prescription opioids. Adrian exhaled once, slow. They're pushing product through my roots. Madison's stomach turned. You said you'd never. I didn't, he cut in, calm but lethal. Viscari did. Lucia handed him a drive pulled from the crate's lid. Encrypted manifests. Same codes that flagged the car that hit her. Madison's breath caught. Then I was never random. Adrian met her eyes. You were leverage. Hours later, the war room pulsed with screens. Maps, trade routes, offshore accounts, threads of a web that touched everything. They moved shipments through hospitals, pharmacies, even schools, Lucia said, scrolling. And look, Camila Rivera. Madison froze. That's my friend. She works at St. Matthew's. Franco's jaw set. The Viscari used her brother's debts to move pills through the clinic. The phone rang. Adrian answered, a man's voice, smooth and taunting. We have the nurse. Trade the files or she disappears. Madison's voice cracked. Camilla, no. Adrian held up a hand. Send proof of life. A video played. Camilla tied to a chair, gagged, terrified. The backdrop, a warehouse with red shipping seals. Adrian's tone dropped to steel. You just signed your own death warrant. The line went dead. Madison rounded on him. "You can't just kill them. They kidnapped your friend. And you'll make me complicit," she snapped. "That's how this never ends." For a moment, only the fire's crackle answered. Then Adrian said quietly, "Then help me end it differently." She stared. "How?" "You can trace the manifests. Show me what they hide, and I'll take them down in daylight." Her pulse raced. "You're serious?" "Completely." Lucia handed her a laptop. "Decrypting starts here." Madison's fingers flew. Filters, timestamps, coded invoices. The pattern emerged. Warehouse 19B, east side of the port. She turned the screen toward him. "That's where they have her." Adrian's gaze hardened. "Franco, assemble teams. No civilians hurt. We move in 15. Madison stepped forward. "I'm coming." "No, she's my friend." He hesitated, then nodded once. "Stay behind me." Rain began again as their convoy rolled through the city. The SUV's cabin was silent except for engines and distant thunder. Adrian checked his weapon. Madison checked her courage. At the port, they moved like shadows. Franco's hand signals cut the night into motion. Inside Warehouse 19B, the stench of oil and fear thickened. Madison spotted Camilla slumped against a post. Relief surged. She was alive. Adrian raised a hand. "Wait." 3 men armed, pacing. He whispered, "On 3. Madison whispered back, "They'll shoot her." He looked at her, cold focus softening just enough. "Then we don't give them time." He moved. The fight erupted. Metal crashing, bullets sparking. Madison dragged Camilla behind crates while Franco covered. When it was over, rain drummed on the roof like applause from a cruel sky. Camilla sobbed into Madison's shoulder. "They said you'd die if I didn't help them." Madison whispered, "Not tonight." Adrian holstered his gun, scanning the floor. 1 man was left breathing. "Good, we need him to talk." He motioned to Franco. "Bring him." Madison's voice trembled. "What will you do?" Adrian looked at her. Something between justice and mercy. Outside, the sirens were still distant, but closing fast. The man on the floor coughed up blood and rainwater. Franco pinned him against a steel pillar while Adrian crouched beside him, calm as a confession. "Who sent you?" Adrian asked. The man spat. "You know who. You always knew." Adrian nodded once, almost respectfully. "Then say it." "Viscari, you broke the code." Adrian's voice stayed low. "There was never a code. Only men pretending decency paid well." He rose and signaled. Franco snapped a photo of the man's ID, then tied his hands. Madison stepped forward. "You said justice, not execution." Adrian met her eyes. "Justice needs proof first." He turned to her. "You want this to stop? Help me show the world what these families hide." By dawn, they were back at the mansion. The captured phone blinked alive under Lucia's password scrambler. Inside, chat logs, manifests, and 1 video that made Madison's stomach twist. Children, hospitals, debts, all tied to the same syndicate. The same logo she'd seen on school supply donations in her district. "They used charity fronts," Lucia said quietly. Adrian's fists clenched on the table edge. "Every dime laundered through good deeds." Madison whispered, "And you helped build it." He didn't deny it. Once. Silence stretched until Franco spoke. "If we leak this, it burns every name, including ours." Adrian looked at Madison. "Then burn it. No shadows left." Hours blurred. Lucia compiled files. Franco synced feeds. Madison crafted the story, the teacher's voice narrating the monster's confession. When the upload went live, the effect was immediate. Phones across the city lit up. News anchors stumbled through breaking coverage. Sirens screamed before orders could be silenced. In the courtyard, Adrian watched the first helicopter circle above the estate. Franco approached. "Police will come for you, too." Adrian nodded. "That's the point." Madison stepped out, the early sun behind her. You don't have to surrender. Someone has. Two, he said. Otherwise, this ends like every story before. Truth buried, blood cleaned, nothing learned. She wanted to argue, but his calm silenced her. Lucia came running, tears hidden behind her poise. They'll take everything. Then maybe, Adrian said softly, we'll see what we were without it. By evening, the news cycle had consumed everything. Mancini exposes cartel network. Mafia war unravels human trafficking ring. Public opinion flipped overnight. Monster turned whistleblower, legend turned man. Madison sat alone on the terrace, the city a pale shimmer below. The door opened behind her. Franco stepped out carrying a sealed envelope. He asked me to give you this. Inside was a check, half the value of a school foundation, and a note in Adrian's neat script. For those still worth saving. Teach them to survive better than we did. She read it twice, then looked up. Where is he? Franco's eyes glinted. Gone before the sirens hit the gate. Weeks later, the world thawed. Madison reopened her classroom under a new sign, Clara Foundation Learning Center. Lucia helped run logistics quietly. No bodyguards, no cameras. Sometimes at dusk, a black car parked at the far end of the street. Never long, never near. She never went to the window, but she always knew. In the final scene, rain started again. Soft, cleansing. Madison locked the school door, turned off the lights, and whispered to the empty hall, "Maybe some storms don't destroy. They wash the lies away." Outside, a figure in a coat walked toward the corner and disappeared into the mist.